Hi, everybody. It's Linda G. And over here is Sterling.
There you go. Good morning,
Our
everybody.
Sunday collab, and we got a lot of questions, and we're very grateful to Linda, who oversees the questions, and Daniel, who writes them up for me.
Exactly, Linda, my wife.
Yes, Linda.
You know, I got asked. I got asked the other day whether you were the Linda that was my wife. No, I know, and so I had to say no. It's a
not
different
that there's
Linda.
anything wrong with that, but no, it's
No.
it's our
Just,
other Linda. It's our other Linda.
Yeah.
Who has become a very good friend to me. She's very easy to talk to.
She is.
And she'll point things out if you need to look at it. That's what I like about her.
Yeah, no, she's a very straight shooter, straight talker, and I love that about her. Yeah.
I love that about her too.
I always kid her. I always kid her. I always tell her you're a hard grader because sometimes she'll say things that.
That's kind of the truth, though.
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't hurt my feelings. So, okay.
No.
Will the French people be successful in their protests against the new retirement bill that raises the retirement age from 62 to 64?
You know, it may not be good news for them, but it looks like that it's going to pass. But it's going to pass due to economic reasons. It's like they don't. It's like the government gets backed into a corner, and they can't fund like the deficit they have. So it's not great news for a lot of people there, but it looks like they're going to pass it.
Okay. Sterling, were the beings with human bodies created in the image of the Creator, only given free will, and why only Earth?
That's an interesting question because free will exists everywhere in the universe, in all dimensions, here and all dimensions. So I'm not sure I understand completely that question. I think maybe the premises of that question may be a little bit off the way I heard it. So.
Yeah, but also, are humans created in the image of the Creator?
Well, so I would say no to that. But what's interesting is that we're all part of the one force, the one source, like drops of water in the ocean.
Yeah.
So in that sense, we're all part of the same energy. Right. But I guess when you get down to like in the image, there's lots of artifacts, let's say in the image, emotionally, physically, and all that. So maybe it's interpretation, that question, but we're all part of the one source, the one force. Yeah.
I asked what the object, the military says it shot down over Alaska.
It's interesting. It's been all over the news, obviously, for the last number of days. When I asked my team about it, these are two, let's call it foes of the United States. So we've got China involved with a balloon, and I do pick up Russia is involved with the cylindrical objects, the ones that they just shot down.
Okay.
Now, you know what's concerning is this is our show reaches a lot of viewership. And I'm hoping anybody out there in the government really takes this seriously, because what these two world nations are doing, these countries, they're testing the water. So we have to be very diligent here. These are not just, obviously not weather balloons. They're extracting intelligence, and they're pushing it back to satellites that they have. And they're also testing wind currents, and they're looking at all sorts of things that that they would use as information if they want to develop some sort of of an attack. Now, so the government needs to kind of wake up. We need to really kind of take it seriously. So,
okay. Everyone has always talked about the crash at Roswell. My question is, what caused that crash?
That's Roswell. Yeah, Roswell crash. Yeah, that was an electrical storm. So that was that brought down that ship. But that ship had hybrids in it. So they were, part human, part ET. And several of them did survive the crash. But it was an electrical storm that brought that one down. Yeah.
Right. We were too inept. We didn't handle it right, if you ask me. 5, many times there's good news about treatments coming out for autoimmune issues and diseases. My question is, will there be testing developed that would determine if we are predisposed to some of these things to help us prevent them? ? Also, will there be a testing to show if our immune system is strong enough to handle vaccines before we take them? preventing adverse reactions.
So like yes to all the above, but to give more detail, more context around this, some of this work's already being done right now, analyzing a genetic makeup of people and whether they're predisposed to certain conditions. And so all this is going to be contained in a lot of this CRISPR technology going on right now. So look over the next decade here, you're going to see a lot of progress in all these areas, understanding genetically the makeup of all human beings, what you're predisposed to. It won't be able to cure all illnesses, because that would put people on the planet for like they'd be 500 years old. It won't be able to cure all illnesses, but absolutely, within a decade, big progress in this area. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Multiple myeloma cancer. A lot of people get that, by the way. Currently, they are using stem cell transplant that give an extended expectancy life of 3 to 10 years. Do you think it can extend life longer, or is there a better option coming in the near future for this multiple myeloma cancer?
Yeah, and that relates directly to what we were just talking about with the CRISPR technology, be very helpful within a decade for that cancer. But it looks to me like in terms of stem cell therapy, they're kind of pushing the outer limits of it for the time being for that disease. So I think the question was, can you use stem cell maybe to extend life 10 years or something? That's not coming to me right now, but it looks like by that time we'll have good CRISPR technology for this.
Good. Well, listen, I have to say that I have a friend whose husband had myeloma, and enough that it was eating the bone in his spine, and they had to put some sort of putty in there. He refused to take the rejection medicine they wanted him to take. He was in a group of people, and they insisted. And the stem cell was really tough, and the transplant itself was tough. He refused, and years have passed, maybe 13 years have passed, and he's still alive, and the others all died. So now they want to talk to him, because it's just so weird. But, every once in a while, you're going to get somebody that breaks all the barriers. So who knows?
Yeah.
Senator John Fetterman was taken to the hospital. He was feeling lightheaded Wednesday afternoon and was hospitalized. Initial tests do not show that he had another stroke, but further testing is ongoing. Will he be okay and able to continue to work in Congress? Or he's a senator, he's not a congressman. Well, Congress.
Yeah.
Senate.
We read on this. I remember reading on this around the election time, leading up to the election. And I always felt, my team always told me Fetterman was going to win, but unfortunately, it always looked like he wasn't going to fulfill his term.
Okay.
So whether that was 6 months or 12 months due to health reasons. Now, I don't get he's going to be taken off the planet, and I'm not really getting another stroke, but there's something about health condition that makes it difficult for him to continue the job. So yeah, not a stroke, but it looks like he will not be in the position outside of 6 to 12 more months.
And the other thing, he takes medications that probably cause him to be tired, and anything to help with dizziness.
Yeah, wonderful guy, really doing a great service to the world and the work he's doing. But unfortunately, the health condition will be something we'll have to focus on to get himself back into condition. He won't be able to fulfill the job. So.
Right. I'm glad he won the one, beat that other one out. So, okay. Do some people...
Dr. Oz, right?
No, it was...
Dr. Oz? Was that
Oz
against Fetterman?
Was it? Yeah, it was Oz, because Oz was in the middle of his business.
Yeah.
Talk about HIPAA laws, and he was supposed to be a doctor. Okay, yeah, it was Oz. Thank you. Right. Do some people become successful in life in spite of mediocre academic performance, while others lead mundane lives in spite of stellar academic performances?
That speaks to the trillions of life path factors that come into everybody's life. So if anybody's looking for a hard and fast rule, it all has to do with your life path blueprint and the trillions of factors that come into your life. So that's an interesting question. But life, you live life, and by living life, there's all sorts of factors that come into play. Yeah.
Right. And, back when my dad was young, he became a captain of the fire department with just a high school education. You can't touch that now.
Right.
you
Right.
know, and there's a lot of high school education only people, actors, artists and stuff that go with what they love and become great. And then there's Santos who
Yeah.
lie
No,
about their
absolutely.
education.
You know,
Okay.
it's true though that there's a lot of out of the box thinkers that become very, very successful. So
Very
when you take
successful.
the non-tried and true path, sometimes it's harder. You look at people, yeah, that drop out of school. And look at Richard Branson, right?
Oh yeah.
He didn't complete and considered a failure, and such a big success. He was kicked out of school in the early days, and then he
Yeah.
went back and bought the school. So you know, so it's interesting. But yeah, the non tried and true path is harder, but sometimes much more successful.
Much
So
more successful. And Carnegie, the
yeah,
Scottish man, he just lived in Scotland. He
sure,
didn't get an education. He came out here and owned the world.
right, right.
Okay, all right. So, will DeSantis get away with legislation that Florida passed to allow him to move migrants from any state to anywhere?
Unfortunately, it's going to be a continuing issue and a problem driven by him. So I do see a lot of court litigation coming up, but it
Mhm.
looks like it doesn't stick.
Okay,
So
thank
he
you.
has enough supporters around him that they're shielding him. So
Okay, now let me ask you this. What about this whole Disney thing? He said, I own the land now and I'm the one in charge. And gosh, I know Disney just might be watching the clock, waiting for him to come. He can't run again. And he
yeah,
won't
no,
be
that's true.
president.
No, I think the new leadership, Bob Iger being back in the saddle again at Disney, that he's going to be able to negotiate a deal with Florida. That's what it looks like to me.
Okay,
So
good. Because it's just too hard to change where they're at. And he's not in office but another 3 years. So
no, they won't. Disney won't move out of Florida. That's for sure. A huge investment.
huge
Yeah,
investment. And then I see down the road things kind of turning around again when he's out of office. But that's
I,
what
I do too. But I think it'll even happen before he's out of office due to some good diplomatic negotiations. That's one of the big skills Bob has. Bob Iger is he's a good diplomat. He's able to kind of find common ground. So.
okay, that's great. Okay, when you talk about CRISPR technology helping to eliminate many illnesses, are you referring to future generation or those who are currently sick and looking for a cure?
It's all the above because when science understands more about what's the genetic makeup of diseases in human beings, then you know how to tackle it, how to approach it, how to provide medications to stop it, cure it. So it's all the above. Within a 2-decade period, the entire medical landscape is going to be changed due to CRISPR within 2 decades.
Oh,
So the way they approach it, you won't have long term. The idea of going to chemotherapy for months at a time, it's all going to start to change. Yeah.
yeah, it's even changing now with a lot of things from when I had breast cancer. So,
Yeah, they've
okay,
already successfully cured pancreatic cancer with CRISPR technology. I've already had a couple of cases. There was one, I think, in the UK a couple of months ago, and so they're making incremental progress. You'll see more and more of it.
that's
Yeah,
huge because, that's a kiss of death. Okay,
yeah.
will MTG, Bobert, and Santos be gone within the next 6 months?
What I pick up is Santos will be out within 6 months, if not faster. Maybe even a little faster than that. The other two looks like they're going to go through their election cycle. So it looks like
Okay,
they'll be able to hang on until the next. But Santos could be out in 2 to 3 months here.
yeah,
It's funny. I see a big like tug of war between Democrats, Republicans over Santos. It's interesting because it's at some point it looks like both Democrats and Republicans are going to try to get him out.
okay,
So
okay. Well, he said the people voted for him. They all took a petition and said, no, we don't want you in there anymore.
right, right.
Will Alvin Bragg, New York AG, or Letitia James bring any federal state indictments against 45 besides the Stormy Daniels saga?
100%. Yeah. And I think it's coming up very soon here, maybe with a few weeks. could be a couple of months. But a lot of what was outlined also in the Pomerantz book, the attorney that left, that put out the book, that was frustrated over Alvin Bragg. No, there's a lot of financial litigation coming up for 45.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. What impact will water rights be brought by Wall Street investors have on the affected communities?
All the Wall Street buying up water rights. Yeah, Wall Street firms. Well, that's a double-edged sword, because for some reason it looks like there's going to be more stability and more ability to get water out of the ground, but it's going to be more expensive. So the good news is there'll be better access to water. The bad news is at a higher cost. So for populations at large, anybody involved in that, water conservation is going to be the key to making it financially manageable. That makes sense. So it's kind of a benefit with a higher cost. Yeah.
Right. Will Bannon be put in jail?
Yes. 4 to 6. Yeah, 4 to 6 months. And we read on this a year, 2 years ago, whenever this was. With all the people around 45, I always said, one of the key persons that's definitely going to jail is Bannon. Yeah. So he's going to serve his time. He's just delaying it. Yeah.
Do you see Republican voters beginning to turn on their members, such as Boebert, MTG, Santos, and Gates?
Yeah, the more moderate ones, yes. So there's a nice contingent of moderate Republican voters that are now getting off of the crazy train, like at the next stop.
They're starting with the committees, and apparently MTG was screaming at the Pentagon about the balloons, or she was screaming at them at the top of her lungs in a session. That's no way to run a business. And that's kind of a turnoff. I can see the Pentagon telling others, you guys got to do something with that cray in there.
Yeah, she's she's the best support system the Democrats ever had. So, keep talking, put her on the committee. It's all good. Yeah.
I saw the boy David Balogun, who is 9 years old and who just graduated from high school. He is becoming an astrophysicist. The morning show had him on with a surprise from Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he started to talk about disproving the Big Bang Theory. Is this young man going to change the way we look at our universe and give us new theories?
Yeah, it was on with Neil deGrasse Tyson. I didn't see the show, but I saw that in the press. What's interesting? I see him being instrumental in developing understanding black holes. So that's a big part of the universe, and they're created by collapsing stars. But it looks like when I was looking at this with my team, it looks like there's going to be a woman that's going to emerge onto the scene that's going to be highly instrumental in understanding the universe. It's almost like, there's a woman that's going to come on the scene here. So this gentleman, this young child, 9 years old, I guess. Yeah. He's going to be instrumental in certain areas understanding black holes in the universe. That's true. Yeah.
Wow. 9 years old. But there's a lot of them born like that. They're just geniuses.
I saw a tidbit on him really quick. He was almost the youngest person to graduate high school at 9 years old. The world's record is for a 6-year-old.
Wow.
That graduated high school. So he almost made the record. That's interesting. That 9 years old, he wasn't the record breaker.
He wasn't the record breaker. How will Sarah Huckabee do as governor of Arkansas?
That's a relative term, but I see a lot of craziness continuing for her. And it looks like she'll finish out her term, but I don't see re-election for her. So it's almost like a bottle rocket or a skyrocket. You blast up, the rocket explodes and you're done. It's like, you gave it all you got, all the craziness, and it went nowhere. Yeah.
Well, people want to see living being better. Is living being better with her as governor? I just feel like she's doing like Ron DeSantis, just cutting off things and not letting people speak up.
Yeah, no, absolutely correct. Yeah.
Will Kevin McCarthy run for president? Whoa.
I definitely see an exploratory campaign for him. So he definitely puts a toe in the water and says, I'm going to exploratory campaign. but it looks like he gets up close to trying to throw his hat in the ring and he gets shut down. It looks like. So he kind of tries to dance with the idea, but I don't see a successful run. No.
Well, maybe he'll try after Trump is out, because I don't think he'd try while Trump is in, his master.
Yeah.
Okay, inside Russia, is there a significant network of anti-Ukrainian war activists attacking and sabotaging military sites and industry to inhibit the Russian war effort? Inside Russia, is there a significant network of anti-Ukrainian war activists sabotaging military sites and industries to inhibit the Russian war effort? Are there Ukrainian special forces aiding them? Are there sizable partisan groups countering Russian forces in the occupied areas? Are any of these groups having notable success?
You know, that's part of a collection of factors that's going to bring the Russian war down. So that's a factor. But whoever asked the question there, maybe ask, is that a significant factor? That's a factor internal to Russia. There is some sabotage going on, maybe affects 5-10% of the war effort. But I also see desertion going on with Russian soldiers in Ukraine. So that's even, for me, even a bigger factor. So whoever asked the question, it's a factor, but that's not half of the problem. It's 5-10% of slowing them down. Yeah. But desertion and problems with the Russian forces look like a bigger factor to me.
They were really talking about the desertion, and all of a sudden it sort of disappeared. So I imagine that Russians don't want it out in the open.
They shut it down. Yeah.
Yep. Other
the
than
dialogue anyway.
Right. Other than the meds Neurontin and gabapentin, which I can't take because of causes dizziness and confusion, will there be a different treatment soon for neuropathy?
Question comes up a lot. I see a number of homeopathic remedies that are currently available and are going to be available for that condition.
Wow.
But also circulation is such a big issue with that whole condition. And so there's a lot of physical things that people can do right now to increase circulation. So whoever asked that question, I would say, even research what's going on there. I don't believe my team is not telling me that the hard drugs are a requirement, because that lady was asking about those drugs having an effect
and they
on
cause
her.
severe side effects.
Yeah. But anything you can do to increase circulation and stimulate those areas along with homeopathic remedies. Looks like there's some good ones out there right now.
Okay. The lawsuit by religious leaders in Missouri that states the new abortion laws are against religious freedom, will they move ahead with this?
What state was that again?
Missouri.
Missouri.
I think in Florida too. I know the Jewish community is suing.
It looks like they're moving. To me, it looks like they're moving ahead with it, and it will be successful in using religious freedoms to go against the stopping of abortions. Yeah, so it looks like it'll actually be a successful legal argument to allow abortions where required. Yeah.
I don't see the question here, but let me ask it real quick. So speaking of abortions, is that judge going to say you can't use the pill? The Texas judge?
Yeah. What I get on that is that's going to be kind of a 1-year deal and then out. So it's almost like that law goes through, it prohibits the pill, and then it gets reversed inside of a year. So some sort of appeal or something goes on. So it's a short
marching. I see people gathering and marching when he does that.
Yeah, but it looks like I think the law hasn't gone through yet, right? But it looks like the law.
They came to him. They might even go to the Supreme Court after this, but they can't. But he's deciding that no, you can't use this abortion bill because it's an abortion.
Correct.
And
correct.
It's how 2/3 of the women get abortions. And then if he votes no, then I guess it cuts the pharmaceutical out, and it's going to cause a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I'm just saying what my team was telling me. It looks like he'll be successful in getting it blocked, but then it gets overturned. So it's a 6-12 months down the road, another legal appeal or something, and they overturn it.
But I could see when I read it, I could see people marching like, oh,
sure.
Hell to the no. Will Erdogan, the Turkish president, be elected again in May? Or Turkey?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. It looks like he will get, but it looks to me like he has a lot of insiders, supporting his reelection. So it's a little corruption going on there, or a lot of corruption. So
that's a shame. And you hope that the
yeah,
money you send to Turkey for the earthquake are going to the people, not to him.
yeah. They had a big one in 1999 in Turkey too, right?
How many people died in that one?
16 or 17,000 in that
Well, it's up to
1991
50
earthquake.
now. Well, they're saying it could
Yeah,
be at least 50,000. Not that it's up to
yeah.
50.
I think the count was up to 25,000, which is horrendous, obviously. But I mean, Turkey, in that region of the world, there's very strong faults going through that region of the world. Yeah,
And the buildings aren't built appropriately.
they weren't. Yeah.
Sterling mentioned recently on one of his shows that you cannot tap into into other lives on multiple timelines. If so, what is quantum jumping?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah, on one of his
Yeah.
shows that you cannot tap into your other lives on multiple timelines.
So let me answer it this way. There's a couple of answers coming for this question. The first is that your soul, your unique self, exists in one dimension at a time. So your soul right now, if it's on Earth, is not existing in other alternate universes or other alternate timelines. Quantum jumping, whoever's asking this question, so that has to do with quantum physics and what they call quantum mechanics and atoms and molecules jumping energy levels. So that's a separate science topic.
Okay.
And I think the person asked this question because it has something to do with TikTok and social media and shows like Quantum Leap. So whoever asked this question is confusing like time jumping in a show like Quantum Leap with quantum mechanics and where your soul exists. So there's three different components to this question, but yeah, hopefully that helps.
Okay. Are guides and angels assigned for this life, or are they part of the agreement made before you were born?
I've always seen and understood and actually looked at that it's all part of the major, what I call the soul contract or the blueprint when you come down. And people have actually had dreams of just before they were born, being in a large room with white robed individuals and angels and negotiating something.
Yeah.
But you negotiate all that before you come down as part of your blueprint. That's true. Yeah.
Exactly. Highland and Sterling, is Democrat Joe Manchin siding with the GOP on eliminating Social Security and Medicare? Will Democrats have enough votes to prevent Social Security and Medicare from being eliminated? Well, Biden said he would veto it.
Yeah, I mean, so the answer to the last portion of that is not going to get eliminated, Medicare, Social Security. Manchin is leaning in with the GOP, but looks like in the end analysis, he'll vote with the Democrats on this because something about the bad will of the people, he doesn't want to be the poster boy for taking away Social Security. So.
Oh, God, no. And that look on Mike Lee's face when the president was talking, like, I have no clue. And then they've been showing all the videos of him saying, my goal is to get rid of Social Security and Medicare.
Yeah, I think he said, my goal is to pull it up by the roots. So,
and I heard I don't know if he said that politically, but by God, that's my goal.
Right.
Will there be any significant ET, UFO, UAP incidents this year?
Many. And even my 2023 predictions, I saw one off the west coast of the US that thousands of people would witness. So yeah, awesome. There's many. It's all part of, more and more coming around the world, a lot in the Nordic region right now, a lot around Russia, Ukraine. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, they're watching in Russia for sure. For the upcoming weather season, should the people of the South Gulf of Mexico area prepare extensively?
Well, unfortunately, I'm going to say 100% true. Yes. Just like, what's happened in the past in the Gulf of Mexico and that whole area is going to continue many cycles coming of very bad weather. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
It's all part of global warming, unfortunately.
And
Yeah.
I see it coming up the coast a little further too.
It will,
Hurricanes.
all the same places we've seen the bad hurricanes, you're going to see it again. It'll be a replay, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is coming up for next week?
Couple of things. I asked my team this morning. So a lot of chaos continuing in the Senate, and in the House. Crazy investigations. All that's going to continue on. I did see a New York City Times Square incident, like some sort of a shutdown going on with Times Square. So everybody needs to be careful there. Looks like the police get on top of it pretty quickly. I also saw very big, massive weapon shipments into Ukraine for advanced weapons. Now, all this will not be covered on the media because they don't want to tip off Russia, but very large advanced weapons shipments coming in. And the last thing they were telling me this morning was some new cancer drug being released around the US and Europe, or we're going to hear about it this week. So a new type of a cancer drug to address a very specific cancer. So something coming up about that in the news. That's very true this week.
Wow, that's great. And
Busy week.
do you have any messages from your guides they want to share?
Yeah, this morning they were saying, keep the world's higher good in mind, because as you align yourself with the world in that way, you actually align it for yourself in your life. So as you look towards creating, good and love and compassion in the world, it actually directly affects your life as well.
Okay, that's very good. Very nice. Any more earthquakes you're feeling?
We've got a few more
In
coming.
the next
Sure.
couple of months. In the next couple of months.
Yeah, no, we do. Yeah, I mean, the world is going to be very active. Not just exactly the Ring of Fire, all the volcanoes, the tectonic plates connecting. What we saw in Turkey is going to transcend through other areas of the world. That fault line. So yeah, it's coming. It's coming. But preparation is key to all of it.
Okay. Thank you so much. Any notice to your people?
Yeah, a quick footnote. People always ask how to reach me. So we have a YouTube channel, as you know, Sterling Psychic Medium, very easy to find. And if they need to reach me, go to sterlingpsychicmedium.com, look for the book a session tab, and it's very straightforward from there.
Yeah, and as you guys know, I retired from readings, and I've had a lot of people that have gone to Sterling and said, "Oh, it was such a good reading." So
Lots of fun. I enjoy speaking with everybody. Every always has very interesting backgrounds, so it's fun.
Very good. I love listening to people's stories. So, all right, you
Absolutely.
guys, thank you so much.
And thanks, everybody.
We'll see you in 2 weeks. Hopefully, the world is still standing or still rolling, spinning.
It will be.
Okay.